Welcome into Everything Auburn, the monthly podcast we have here on the campus of Auburn University. We get to meet members of the Auburn family, get to learn more about what they do and what makes them so special. I'm Carter, and I'm so glad that you're here joining me. I got two special, they're very talkative and fun guests. We've already had a good time before we recorded, so I'm looking forward to this one. I have Ford Dyke, head coach of USA Wheelchair Handball national team and member, hopefully, I guess we just got to wait and make sure the team gets announced here. So we're fingers crossed on member of Wheelchair National Handball Team. Jay Denning, welcome to the podcast, gentlemen.
Thank you, Carter. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for having us.
Hey, I'm glad you guys are here. I'm looking forward to it. I want to know everything about team handball, how it started. We were talking on the way over here, if I may, godfather of the team. You've created the team out of nowhere. A lot of work, I can only imagine, went into it. Walk me through how we started to how we got here, how Auburn became the home for this, which is so incredible for a U.S. national team that is here at Auburn. How do we get to where we're at?
It's a long story, to say the least.
Yeah,
I'll keep it as condensed as possible. So I started here in 2012 as a master's student. When I came off of undergraduate studies in psychology, I decided to come to Auburn and study the human body. So exercise science was my field in the School of Kinesiology. 1 year later, I tried out for the men's indoor national team, which there was a residency program here on campus from 2013 to about 2018 for 5 years. And I played all the way through COVID. Once COVID hit, my coach retired, I retired. All the while, I had thought about coaching during that process.
Sure.
In that sport specifically, but I just didn't really ever think of the way it would transpire, how it is now. And so as an aside, during the 2012 to 2020 window, I was on the sideline and still am on the sideline with Auburn Adapted Athletics, specifically wheelchair basketball. And I always thought those worlds were pretty separate and isolated until one of my former teammates from the national governing body of USA Team Handball gave me a call in November of 23, and he said, "Are you aware of wheelchair handball?" And I thought it was kind of a typo. I thought he was trying to talk about basketball.
Yeah.
And I said, "No, man, I've never heard of this. What's going on?" And he said, "There's about 20 teams at the time around the world. It started in the 90s. US was interested. They want to submit a wild card to the upcoming World Championships, which is September of 2024. And he said, we can't really think of anyone else that has indoor elite experience from the athletic side of team handball. I played beach as well, and wheelchair specific coaching experience. So we thought, let's smash those worlds together and assign you as the head coach. What do you think?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I have nothing else going on.
Figure it out." Yeah.
Sure. But he said, we don't have resources. You don't have a team. You don't have coaches. You don't even have goals. You don't have equipment or balls. You have nothing. So do you still want to do it? And I was like, give me like 48 hours. Let me like marinate a little bit on this one for a second. So my first call was Olympian Rita Clanton. At the time we had worked together from 2012 and beyond. And she said, "I'm all in." And I was like, all right, well, we can't go back now. I got my first Olympian on staff. That's great. And then that just evolved to the second Olympian, Lisa Egan, out of Shepherd Center in Atlanta. And she's a 96 Olympian. She was actually Rita's athlete. Rita was a coach in 96. So you'll start to see how crazy this family lineage starts to, evolve.
Quite the big family tree here.
It's pretty wild. Yeah. And so we started talking to Anthony Turling over at Auburn Opelika Tourism, who we had relationships before, 10 years before that. And he said, "I'm all in. We'll talk to Robin Bridges. We'll figure some things out." And so this is all about January through March, maybe April of 24. And we're just trying to get things set up in a way that if we receive the wild card, we would be ready to go. And so May 16th, my phone rings. Never forget it. And they said, "Hey, we got the wild card. You still in?
Are you still committed?"
I was like, oh man, like this is crazy. Starting something from nothing and then going to a world championship level to compete is probably not the smartest thing to do. But, I said, whatever, let's do it. And
into the deep end.
Yeah, we just fully went in. And I said to a lot of the staff and a lot of the early recruits that we're not just going there to show up and participate. We want to make sure that we play in the final match for that gold medal. And people are like, "Oh, I don't know about all that. He's kind of crazy to say that," but
I like the confidence.
Yeah, you have to go with, what's in sight and reverse engineer and work backwards. So that is a whole other documentary in and of itself. We ended up winning the silver medal, and that really kickstarted the program, which was wild. We lost to Egypt in the final match. We took down Brazil in a double shootout in semis, which they were the reigning champions. And it shocked the world. That was really our gold medal match, as an aside. And so we returned in September. It took me about a month to really figure out what day or time it was, just because of everything that happened leading up to that. And then once we got to that December into the next cycle of 25, our phone rang again, and France reached out and they said, hey, we want to invite you. You're a top team already. Come on over, compete in this tournament. And that's really where our elite athlete pool expanded. Our staff expanded. We brought on a goalkeeper coach. We brought on other technical directors, athletic trainers, strength and conditioning coaches. Everyone's volunteer, including myself. Everyone's self-funded, including myself. We all have day jobs. We all have legitimate things going on. Everything else is added to it. So
it's incredible.
It's a lot, but it's a very unique experience. And I'm sure we'll talk about the idea of getting it into the Paralympic Games. That's on the horizon. So I'll leave that question for you.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You know, it's how it all started. And it goes back to, I always say it goes back to Rita Clanton playing here in the 70s and playing team handball out of Auburn. She's a Hall of Fame athlete here at Auburn University. And if it wasn't for her, I really don't think that I would be sitting here. I don't think any of our staff would be doing what we're doing. I don't think we would have that exposure on the Team USA level for the sport. She's really the pioneer. She wrote the book. I have it in my office.
The literal book.
She actually wrote a book, Team Handball, Rita Clanton. It's in my office. It's signed by her and everything. And I tell her, I'm like, you wrote the book. You're going to be on the staff. Yeah. She's so chill and so humble and just smiles and grateful. And I'm like, we got the dogs on the staff, so let's get the athletes and let's make it happen.
Absolutely. I think it's one thing we've talked about here a lot. We've talked about with Extension. We've talked about it with other programs we've had on here, that Auburn is doing some really incredible stuff in Auburn, in the community, with their students. But I think some of the coolest stuff that Auburn does is when it goes outside of Auburn, outside of the state, outside of the country even, and to have a U.S. national team here that's going to compete in Europe, in France, you know, doing all of this, and it kind of doing it for the country, but also doing it for the university, and it's based here with Auburn people is pretty impressive.
For sure.
Now, Jay, this is your chance here. You're a converted basketball player.
Yeah.
Spent time in hoops. Now, don't get choked up on me now. Spent some time in hoops. How did you make the transition from hoops, which I understand you've been playing most of your life, to the team handball?
18 years. Yeah. Ooh. Well, so the conversion for me, it wasn't really hard because a lot of the fundamental aspects of just adaptive sports in general are kind of universal.
Sure.
So like your chair skills, making sure that your wheelchair is just an extension of your body. I mean, you need to know how to move regardless of whatever sport you play.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, very, And then defense, being able to know how to stop a chair, when to stop a chair, and spacing, all of that is pretty much the same, except, it's only 3 people plus a goalkeeper. So it's just like the tighter net to hold on to, and you want to force them out. Just like with wheelchair, well, it's the opposite of wheelchair basketball because you want to force them to the mid. But the communication, all of that, a lot of skills just transferred over. The hardest part was learning how to dribble differently,
Sure. A little muscle memory.
Yeah, because with the basketball, not only with the basketball being bigger, but you can just dribble however you need to, but with a handball, everything has to be like overhand, can't do too much fancy work, but and then the other aspect I would say is getting used to using my entire body for shooting, because at least with basketball, it's just one motion up here. I mean, you start out in your pocket, but you can bring it up.
Sure.
In handball, you're using your entire upper body, this entire windmill mechanic, and with me, it's kind of a learning curve, but I love learning anyway. So
that's great. I notice he's demonstrating as he's doing it. It's just an excuse to show off the guns.
It's pretty nice.
That's
good form.
They kind of help.
They help. So, but you spent time at Auburn, so you're an alum. You spent time in Auburn playing wheelchair basketball here.
Yeah.
Walk me through some of those experiences, some of your favorite memories from that as well.
Ooh, well, of course, my number one favorite is winning that Natties this past season.
Yeah, there we go.
Especially against Bama,
War damn.
But it's also just creating my brotherhood. Some of my teammates, these are going to be lifelong friends. Jake Eastwood, I came in as freshmen with him, and now he's just an all-time leading scorer in Auburn. And I mean, like, it across able-bodied basketball, that's what we call it, and wheelchair basketball. But being around Team USA level athletes, because we have Drew Butel, we have Adam Smith, a lot of other athletes who have made it to try out for Team USA or have made it onto Team USA. So just playing with other high level athletes while also being able to, better myself as an athlete. Man, I can't even. Ooh, if I start talking too much, it's gonna be too long. And I know we have a little bit of a time crunch.
Hey man, let's go. Let's get into
Rip it, Jay. Rip it.
But it all stemmed from Coach Rob. Without having a good coach, I honestly would not be here. I've been around Coach Rob for over 10 years. So I kind of already knew I was going to come to Auburn. He coached my juniors wheelchair basketball coach, Emily Hoskins, in the Olympics where they won bronze. And then just to find out he continued to keep coaching after that and be a 3-time Paralympic winning coach. I was like, you know what?
Casual.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
And an Everything Auburn podcast alum, Coach Rob as well.
Exactly. So he's just an everything man, that's someone I want to follow. And so just to have someone like him who is as experienced as he is, being able to accumulate all this talent to build up the program. He said it was going to be a 10-year process, and he trusts Ford, and he has a 10-year process. So I'm just surrounded by greatness. So, I mean, that's one thing that really sticks out to me in Auburn. I don't think I would like any other school as much. And then another one of my favorite core memories is actually just, there's this guy on Whitewater, right?
Oh, no.
Might need to edit this one out.
No, we won't. It was also during nationals. But, Coach, we kind of had to we didn't let him do what he wanted to do, but we did at the same time. And Coach kind of got a little upset, or just passionate, we'll say. And he subbed me in and said, JD, stop a chair, And so I went out there, we got defensive turnover after turnover. Like, we were getting defensive stops. And he had like 4 fouls already. As soon as I come out there, I just stop his chair, and we have a picture of it. He's pretty much just sitting in my lap with the basketball in his hand.
The sheriff came to town.
So good.
And I think my dad has it as a wallpaper on his phone.
That's awesome.
And it's just like an iconic moment in my head, because I pride myself on defense. You can ask Ford, you can ask Rob. So defense is where I shine. And that right there, especially during nationals where it's being broadcasted. Oh yeah.
It's nice.
That's a key moment for me.
So he mentioned that you have a 10-year plan. So here we go. It's a great chance. Part of that plan, getting into the Paralympic Games, what that process is and what the future is coming up and walk me through that. Why you want to do it. I think that's pretty obvious. Why you want to do it, what the plan is, and how you've kind of gotten to where and what the future is holding for you guys.
It started in 2022 with the first wheelchair handball world championships in Cairo, Egypt. There were only 6 teams there at the time. We were not there. We didn't start until 24, like I said earlier. Once 24 started, we got into the mix. It's good for every sport when Team USA gets involved. It just elevates everything. So selfishly, we wanted to be involved, but also globally, we knew there could be a greater impact if we were able to perform at a high enough level to get more traction, more eyes, more ears, more awareness
Big time.
on this sport globally. So once 24 hits, 25 comes around, silver, bronze, now 26. 26, we've named this year Operation Gold. We have the opportunity to, in 2 major competitions, and they're essentially back-to-back. We head out June 24th to France. We play the 1st through the 5th in July. We return August, recalibrate, ready to go again for Barcelona, Spain. That'll be September 14th through the 21st. That's World Championships. 12 teams. So the amount of teams has already doubled since the first World Championship. So the growth of the sport is constantly moving forward in the right direction. Your question about the 10-year plan, 2032 is the first opportunity for this sport to be in a Paralympic Games on full Paralympic docket, full Paralympic inclusion. So we work backwards from that process. I came into it on year 2, so it's really an 8-year plan, but I envision it moving forward past 2032, of course.
Right. Well, hopefully, right?
Hopefully.
We don't want to get to that.
Hopefully there's sustainability with it. So with that, we were asked, we as in all of the federations around the world, all 25, we were asked to submit our current status, is what they called it. And to me, it was another dissertation. It was insane. It was all details, A to Z, alpha to omega, down to the granular level, on all the nuances of everything. They wanted the I's dotted, the T's crossed, and even the J's dotted.
Wow.
And so we submitted that to the International Handball Federation, which is our international governing body. They submitted that to the International Paralympic Committee to determine. They get a whole slate of different sports, and they determine, they make the decision on once or this one, next time, good luck. So we are waiting right now in the board minutes, just this past January, a few months ago. It says, direct quote, everything looks promising. All boxes have been checked, essentially. We're just waiting on a few more things. And those few things are the upcoming World Championships, because Oceania, namely Australia, New Zealand, they're interested in building programs as well. So the global reach is getting broader and broader, which is really important. And I'm trying to have as many foreign relations as possible. It's challenging right now, to say the least.
That's getting to talk to some of these countries and people. And
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of WhatsApps, a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of emailing, a lot of shaking hands and kissing babies, and just trying to come with an olive branch. I think a lot of times when you show up with stars and stripes, can go one of two ways, especially now with geopolitical happening. It's like, look, we're trying to elevate this sport. Don't judge me for anything else. I'm going to bring the best team of athletes, the best staff possible, and we'll try to get this to the next level. So there's a lot of things we have control of, but there are even more things that we have no control of. And we just have to have the faith and just stay with the process that this is supposed to happen. And I have to make sure that I'm setting myself up for 6 years ahead of time today, which is challenging because you have everything else that is leading up to an upcoming competition, a training camp, selection process, recruitment, nurturing athletes, making sure people are submitting materials.
That's a lot.
Anything and everything. Yeah, we're a tight family and we do a lot of different work, but every coach has to be able to do about 10 jobs at once. And that's the nature of adapted athletics in general.
So I was, you mentioned earlier, you have day jobs as well, right? So I think this is a good chance to kind of mention that here, because I've heard you use a lot of words that I would imagine associate more with your day job, right? So you're director of mindfulness at Auburn as well.
Correct.
Here. Yep. Coaching a team, adaptive, like cultivating this, as your baby and kind of building it from nothing. I'm curious kind of how you've managed to add some of those elements. I'm curious what you've seen him do as well from that like mental process and that mindfulness process. If you could walk me through some of that stuff as well, because I think a lot of it applies in how you've been able to grow this from nothing to where it is today and where it's hoping to go.
For sure. It's well said. It's a great question. I think what's interesting about all the different hats that I wear, it's each day it's a different hat, each maybe hour it's a different hat.
Sure.
And there's titles and there's roles and there's responsibilities, but to me it's all an Auburn experience. It's all interconnected, whether I'm in a classroom teaching students, whether I'm delivering a speaking engagement through mindfulness at Auburn, whether I'm doing research, data collection, whether I'm at a conference, traveling, disseminating information, whether I'm coaching on the sideline, whether I'm working with our athletes for performance coaching, working them with nutrition or sleep or exercise or anything from a recovery standpoint. To me, it's all interconnected. It just depends on what microphone's on, what screen's on, what camera's on, and I can get into that role and get into that hat. So as far as embedding all of this together, it's my story. And it's a lot of it is my mission, and it's a way to continue to impact the world and leave it a little bit better than when I found it. I mean, we're not here that long as far as I'm concerned. So I'm trying to make sure that I have a great reach and be able to return that investment because of all the mentors, because of all the people that have passed that baton to me. I just want to make sure that I leave it in the right hands and to elevate anyone that I interface with, whether it's athlete, coach, a journalist that doesn't think we're going to play in the final match and I tell them, direct quote, we'll play in the final match. Whatever it is just elevate the experience and make sure that we're all moving in the right direction.
Sweet. That's awesome. Now, Jay, I wanted to talk about your day job as well, which is a bit of a shift here. but if I understand correctly, you're a bit of a TikTok star.
Okay, I was gonna say a student, maybe.
No,
but
hey, there's that too. But yeah, just kind of some of the things that goes around your life as well. But one thing that we have found through our research is your many TikTok challenges, as well as which I have officially dubbed your day job.
Yes. Well, it's funny you say that because I've been thinking about getting back into TikTok, but I kind of did that because of COVID and because of how my mom raised me. She said, "You're not going to let your disability stop you with anything that you do, nor will I let you be lazy." So during COVID, it was kind of pretty hard to find something quote unquote productive.
It's a good time
to
to be lazy.
Yeah. But as a house, we would work around the house as a family. We were able to clean up our house. We have a new ramp in front of it now. But for TikTok, I was like, you know what? This is a time where folks need to be exposed to more than just what is in their box. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what better way than to show them that, hey, hi guys, I'm in a wheelchair, but I live the exact same as you. Mm. I'm still living my life regardless of the shutdown that we had. And so I just wanted to brighten everyone's day. And that's kind of how everything I did from all the requests, it started out with a push-up challenge, and kind of just took off from there. But because I went to college, I kind of stopped because I wanted to focus on my studies.
That's good.
That
was smart. That was smart.
Doing that plus basketball at the time. I'm in graphic design, and that actually takes a lot of resources. No, it's not just an arts and crafts major. Because
no, there's a lot. Man after my own heart. I'm an artiste as well, so I get you.
Yeah, you understand.
I was kind of French a little bit.
There's a little bit, yeah.
And so I started spending a lot of hours in the studio, and it was kind of sad to see my TikTok just like slowly fade into the distance. Mm-hmm. But now, as I've completed my wheelchair basketball career, it opened up a little bit of free time to where I might combine doing TikToks with some of the streaming to fill in some of those gaps. But I'm also doing senior project at the same time. So there's going to be a little bit of a mix.
There's a lot. Yeah, but I can only imagine some of the fun things, being a part of an international team, get to go to some pretty cool places, see some cool sites, do some really incredible traveling. And I can only imagine some experience you guys have had outside of actually playing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Experiences, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, experiences is probably the best word.
Okay.
The views are also like beautiful. Just even though it was my first and only time being out of the country like that, being in Leone was just beautiful. We even went to a cathedral. That was my first like actual legitimate like European style Gothic cathedral. And it was like, wow. I took art history literally a semester before. I was like, wow, I studied that. I know what kind of art style like a fresco painting was. I was like, what kind of paint they got.
Flying buttresses.
Yeah, I was like, wow, why do I know about this? But it was actually sick to be able to apply the knowledge that I got from school in the outside world because you get to appreciate it more. Mm-hmm. And then to do that with Ford and some of the guys that I've known for years, it was just like, for some reason, it was really bonding to me.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Good vibes.
It's good vibes.
Yeah.
It's good vibes. Well, I wanted to make sure we got to we're at the shameless plug part of the podcast here, where you get to shout out your stuff. This is the ask part. So I want to make sure you got a chance to talk about 24 Fun, mm-hmm. And then any other opportunities that people listening can find you, to watch you, to go travel, see you. Events you have. This is your moment. This is your shining moment.
Awesome. I'll work backwards. So I'm not a big social media guru or anything like that, but I understand the value of the leverage.
It helps.
And the traction and the like and subscribes and, the algorithms.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell, hit the notification button, whatever else they say, JD. Anyway, he's the pro, but we've got Instagram account that you can follow us on, USA Wheelchair Handball. And all of our information is on that as well. We have websites for USA Wheelchair Handball National Team. And what's interesting about social media so far is that when this episode comes out, we're on the verge of a title sponsor. And there's a large community that the title sponsor has. And we're really excited for putting a lot of gas on the fire when it comes to the reach from a global standpoint. Not so much just adapted athletics, one region of the country. Yes, we're a decentralized national team. Yes, we're traveling and training internationally. this would be more a catalyst to really get the world to wake up to what we're doing and lead up to both France and Spain this year and beyond for LA 28 and Brisbane 32. So that's TBD. There's a few more things that need to be finalized.
I'll be on the lookout.
Please be on the lookout. It's going to be exciting. And then as far as the 24 Fund is concerned, that's a nonprofit that was started on behalf of myself and some of my family, namely my mother. She's a CFO. She's been doing this for about 40 years. And when it comes to the correct appropriations of funds and sources and uses, and making sure that the secretarial and the treasury work is done to a T. We're an elite team. We also have to make sure our books are elite to ensure that we have the right support for our athletes, even though they're self-funded and they're trying to get themselves to training camps. When we ship out on final roster, I don't want any athlete, any staff member worrying about anything except for what's at stake. And what's at stake is, of course, like we said, Operation Gold. So that nonprofit was started with myself, my mother, and my uncle. He is our vice president, and he's been an executive for over 35 years. You know, I pulled some boomers in for a reason.
Hey,
they're pretty smart, and they know how to get the job done, and they've got a lot of reach. And so it's another hat I have to wear, but
add it to the pile.
You know, it's just because of the formality, making sure that this pilot program, USA Wheelchair Handball, is provided with the right resources. But after that, once we're in 32, we bring in the gold medal. I don't know if I'll coach forever. You know, I'll make that determination. But one thing that I see myself doing is running that nonprofit and making sure that not just one sport, wheelchair handball, is provided with resources. Any Team USA adapted athlete in any sport. It could be it could be a parasurfer, parasnowboarder, blind, soccer, anything. As long as they're competing for their country, United States of America, and at either world championship or a Paralympic level, then we would like to provide grants and resources and make sure that there's support for them, there's exposure for them. It's an underserved population, and that's unfortunate. So we're trying to make sure barriers are reduced and doors are open for those athletes to be able to perform at the highest level.
Spectacular.
So it's the 24fund.org.
There you go.
Come check us out.
We will.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
That's it.
And then Jay, you want this is your chance. You want people to follow you on social. This is if you want to build the TikTok. Here's your chance.
I guess if I'm going to get back on TikTok, it's Jay's TV _Wheeze. So like JAYS TV _WHEEZ. That actually was a typo when I first made it. It was supposed to be Wheels, but then I saw Wheeze. I was like, wait a minute, that's actually funny. And so I kept it.
This guy.
And then,
oh, that's incredible.
And then, I mean, happy accidents, right?
Yeah, dude.
And then my Instagram, I need to change it. I've had it just since middle school.
It's also a typo. No.
JD.
I might change it to just that, but it's implext.j. IMPLIXT.j with 2 Y's. I just haven't changed it because I have no idea what I would change it to. It's one of those things where you've had it so long where you're just like, what am I going to do with you? And then if I'm going to get back into streaming, Nitro booming.
All over the place.
It's a lot.
It's a lot all over the place. Well, gentlemen, I thank you for joining me. Thanks for telling a little bit about what you guys do. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good. I understand you're about to finalize the team, so hopefully you make it. Fingers crossed, right?
Like we said.
Fingers crossed. Well, good luck with all your travels. Operation Gold. I'm so excited to see where you guys go. Hopefully you guys win everything. That's the plan.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. I love it, and thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back again next month with more members of the Auburn family. If you like what you heard, you want to hear more, we got a lot more episodes. We've done one every month for a few years now. So if you want to hear some more people, want to hear Coach Rob from a few months ago, he was on here talking some wheelchair basketball. So we got him to listen to. But until then, War Eagle.
War Eagle.